How's it going, guys? Zoro Fanboy 124 here, and I'm here today with my fellow Walking Dead fans to talk about Walking Dead Season 4, episode number 13. And I have to say that this episode was a lot better than last week's episode. Although it was more of a setup, like all these episodes are essentially set up, it felt more entertaining throughout, you know what I'm saying? And on the great note, Beth got captured, so no more singing. I'm kidding.
Thought you liked that.
But that was definitely a highlight, I'm not going to lie. But no, I'm just kidding. But it was overall an interesting episode. We got more insight into the character of Bob, which I think was necessary, because he was just an outside. People thought of him as a fodder character, the next guy to die. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of had those vibes maybe in the episodes. I'm like, oh my god, he's getting too much development. When's the death coming?
Yeah,
When's the death coming?
right at the beginning.
I thought he was going to wind up dead. You know when they Maggie and Sasha go back to find him. I was suspecting him to be killed on the train tracks or something like that.
Yeah. I was thinking
laying there with his bottle of NyQuil and shit.
Yeah.
Was that NyQuil that he was drinking under?
That was NyQuil. Yeah, that was NyQuil. Yeah. Yeah, my wife caught that, man. She got eagle eyes and shit. And then when I watched it again today, I saw that and I was like, oh man, NyQuil. And if any of you guys ever like Dennis Leary, if you guys have ever seen any of his stand-up stuff, where he does a bit on NyQuil, you know, and he's just like, we love you, you giant fucking Q. He's like, NyQuil, it's the best stuff, man. He goes, it says shouldn't operate machinery. It should say don't make any fucking plans, you know.
I think, chugging down NyQuil is probably not the best thing to do when you're trying to avoid zombies. I'm just saying, it might make you a bit lethargic and kind of,
Probably, yeah. Probably not. You just be numb to everything. But, I liked how the music was playing in the background and how it did this montage, and it made me feel, like, lonely, man. It really did. Like, you don't realize how bad it would be. Like, yeah, the apocalypse would suck, but at least people have always been around each other. Like, Rick in the first episode was alone for a little while. But then he was found, you know what I mean? He was found, and he was brought in by what's his name? I forget the
Morgan.
Oh yeah,
Morgan. Yeah, he was brought in by Morgan. But for that first part, that Rick was stumbling through the hospital and there was no one around. That was a tense thing, because you're thinking, man, and seeing this guy sleeping on top of a semi truck, and zombies all walking around. Man, I could just imagine having nobody to look out for you. No, it's like, why would you even want to go on, And then the guy was, I guess, an alcoholic to begin with. I mean, sure, you're going to numb yourself, I guess, right? I just, I thought it was a great job in that 2 or 3 minutes of really making you feel the loneliness,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and plus we haven't had any idea as to how we got a little bit of information of how he became part of the group, but to actually see it, I think, was a nice touch. I was with my family and they were complaining about it, but I'm like, listen, I want to know more about this character. I understand that, it's not necessarily relevant, but at the same time, it was still enjoyable and it added that atmosphere and it kind of tied into the rest of the episode.
Absolutely. I think it set the stage for the episode, and I also liked how I mentioned you in the kind of pre-show thing about how the song montage at the beginning, and it was them finding Bob while Daryl was not alone and with the group, and Bob was alone, and the whole episode and premise was about it sucks being alone, right? And then at the end of it, it's Daryl being discovered by another group because he's now alone, he's destitute, he's got nothing, the only person he was with has been kidnapped, is gone. Daryl's just at wit's end. He finally made himself his moonshine friend, the little blonde girl, and he realized that he can put up with her bullshit singing and piano stuff because he figures, well, whatever, See, at least there's somebody, right? And now he doesn't even got her. He had somebody to eat pig's feet with and drink Diet Coke, but not anymore.
2-year-old Diet Coke.
I thought it was just regular Coca-Cola, man.
No, it was Diet, man. Ugh, Diet.
Okay.
What was it diet?
Yeah, it was Diet. I think it was Diet. Anyway, I don't know, with Beth and Daryl, it was a little awkward. In this episode, man, some more awkward sexual tension between those two. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know what they're going for. I don't know if they're going for just sort of like that, like, hey, listen, we're just becoming good friends and like, you know what I mean, that sort of thing, or because they got these undertones that are kind of like, you know what I mean, when she's like, what made you believe that there's good in people, and he's looking, he's like, and he's like staring at her.
He's like, so that moment was so awkward.
He's like, and I'm just like, come on, man.
All I had to do was play Careless Whisper.
Yeah, it's like, man, just fuck her and get it over with, So
I know in real life she's like 30, but in the show, what is she like? 16, 17?
It's hard to tell because she was 15 in season 2. They said she was 15, like when Maggie referred to her 15-year-old sister, is I believe what she said. And we know we've had 2 time skips since then that I think were about like 6 to 8 months. So I'm thinking she's like in that 16, 17, maybe. Yeah. Maybe she can see the 18th birthday on the horizon. I don't know.
Either way, man. Damn, that's fucking weird, man. I'm sorry. I don't know, man. I just wasn't feeling that whole thing. But it did make the whole separation of that more dramatic, though, because he was starting to rely on her. She was his emotional crutch to a certain extent lately, ever since the prison collapse. So that was I think well done in that respect. But it was still fucking creepy, don't get me wrong. So that was the only part of the episode.
They may be building all this, though, to kill Daryl, and I said a couple episodes ago that I'd bet one of my kids, and I still would, that they won't kill him this season. But it's all right. Either way, it's a win-win for me. So, you know what I mean? I figure if I lose, I win, and if I win, I still win. So, exactly. No, but I just... the way that they're building it up now, maybe something where he's going to wind up having to make the ultimate sacrifice, especially after that bullshit last week about, you're going to be the last one standing, Daryl.
Oh, God.
Fuck, man,
That's just the biggest red flag you can have on somebody, man. That's
God, I was hoping Tyrese was cursed, man, with all the white kids, running around. That's the only thing that I don't like, is that if we took these last 5 episodes, and like I was saying last week, and you kind of mixed up some of the scenes in them so we saw a little more screen time from people and distributed everything more evenly, I think I'd be a little happier with the progression of the season. But, seeing as we only have these 8 episodes, it's like, man, there's 3 left, and who knows what next week's episode is. It looks like it's going to be about Tyrese and the crazy kids and shit and Carol. But who knows who else is going to be? We haven't seen Rick in a few weeks now. Michonne and Carl. Sure. I hardly even remember what Tyrese looks like, and Carol. And then Carol, you brought her back to be like, "Hi, I'm here," and then we don't see her for a month. Come on, man. That's to me that's bad writing. I think there'd be a better way of mixing it up a little more. So we could have filtered in a little more in that Daryl and Beth episode last week. Maybe another group, see what was going on.
Yeah, that's true.
But I liked at the end, though, that there's some hope now that Glenn's actually heading towards Terminus, too, So
right.
It's like, on one hand, it's like cliche and all that other stuff because him and Maggie are so in love and it's disgusting. But at the same time, man, you gotta throw me a bone every now and then, because like in season 3, they had so many bad things that happened so early that it was very difficult to recover from that. And I felt like about halfway through the season, I was like, emotionally, I'm just drained, man. I'm like, you done killed all the people, I'm like, you're. Right. In this season, obviously, they built up to that climax in the mid-season finale, but it's been very, very negative and desolate. After that, everybody being broken apart and stuff, and so I think that's a neat ray of hope, I guess, that maybe they'll actually see each other, at some point.
Yeah, I think it would have been more cliche and corny if she saw the sign that the blood, that she wrote.
Yeah, that the blood was on it, and then he took it, like, kissed his hand and like touched his heart and put it on the blood.
I think that would have been a little bit more corny. So it makes more sense than just one of the random Terminus things. But I had to agree with what's the character's name? Sorry, Sasha. Mm-hmm. Sasha, when she was saying, "Listen, it's a fucking trap. This is too good to be true. We shouldn't go there." I mean, obviously, her reasoning for saying that is, due to her fear, as they point out in the episode. But she had a good point. I mean, if it's too good to be true, chances are it's too good to be true. I mean, in the end, she was wrong because Glenn is alive and he's going towards Terminus. So, everyone's going to meet in that one particular area. But I mean, like I said, last couple of reviews, I mean, this is not gonna end well. It's not gonna be a happy reunion where they all come together like, yay, we all met at Terminus.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna meet there and have a big party at the end of the season. Or if they do, it's definitely gonna be something where the shit's gonna hit the fan shortly thereafter, and you're gonna find out that it's not all it's cracked up to be. But I think too, it's just having something. It's just something to do and having some kind of hope, because Bob pointed out, he's like, we can just keep walking circles out in the middle of the woods. He's like, or we can actually go towards something that maybe somebody else will be going towards too. And he did point out, hey, listen, if they've been putting up signs everywhere, which was his thinking, right, of all these different areas and tracks, maybe somebody else from the prison ran into it. So even though it's kind of a long shot, and I would be pretty wary too, that's kind of the Monday morning quarterback talking too, what I mean? That's the backseat driver. If you're in that situation, would you rather wander in circles out in the woods and maybe have to fight zombies hand-to-hand in the fog, or would you rather go towards something,
No, you're right.
But I see both sides,
Right. I'm not saying that they were wrong in their decision making to go there. I'm just saying that as a reviewer, I know what's gonna happen, or at least I have a pretty good idea. Of what's
you
gonna
feel
happen.
like exactly.
From the outside looking in, it's pretty just it seems like it's a bad idea, but I understand completely why they would want to in that particular scenario. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of like Monday morning quarterbacks.
Bro.
Pretty
Yes.
much.
So, hey, whatever. I don't blame you, man. If it's a trap, oh well, it's a trap. We're gonna die anyway, so hey.
Some of them might be at that point too, you know what I mean, where they're just like, fuck it, it's something to do, and I mean, what else we got going on, man? We're sleeping. Sasha was about to hole up in a fucking half-empty building, and I mean, I was looking at her walking around, and I was like, that's depressing. I was like, at least walk to your death,
That's true. That is true. I'm curious though. Do you think that Bob's death is on the horizon? I mean, there's a lot of things. I hope I'm wrong about this, but there's a lot of things that made me think a possibility. Obviously, you get the backstory, you get the development in this episode, you get the relationship that he's developed with with her, and then now it just seems like a lot of those typical flags right before the death.
And he's
not to be controversial, but Walking Dead has a tendency to kill off certain characters of a certain ethnic group. Black people.
Yeah, they're black
people.
Oh man, don't be pulling the race card, man. They killed as many white people as they killed black people. They've been killing cows and horses and kids and all kinds of shit.
I'm just saying, Walking Dead has a bit of a track record. I'm just saying.
Man, they killed off a couple of whores last year too. Ain't nobody said nothing about that.
That's true. That's a good point. I'm just saying, do you see possibly him dying in the future? That's all I'm asking.
Right, man.
I don't know. It's a tough one. At this point, to me, I keep thinking about, like, realistically, who could they kill? And I keep thinking that Maggie and Beth are off the table because Beth, you wouldn't care. And Maggie, it's like I said, just to have 2/3 of a family die in one season being the major characters, to me, seems senseless and pointless. So I'm really thinking that it's like... we'll see after next week how much they develop Tyrese, but a Tyrese, a Bob, a Sasha. Unfortunately, that puts them. Unfortunately, all three of them are black, so it might be one, it might be more. According to Zorro, they might kill them all off. I don't know.
No, I never said that. Right?
Nah, I just fooling around with you.
Black guy, man.
All I'm saying is, they got Tyrese playing a babysitter when he's supposed to be a badass. You know what I'm saying? T-Dog got that work. Who was that one character they introduced that got killed off? Oscar that we watched like 2 episodes.
Hey man, I like Oscar too, man. Oscar died saving Daryl's ass and shit. Daryl and Merle. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, he got shot. Look what happened to him.
That's all I'm saying. And Tyrese probably would have died if that little girl didn't save him in the end. So I'm just saying, The Walking Dead has a bit of a track record. That's all I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it in the ether. For you guys to mull over. But
it's really tough to call who they're gonna kill though, But did any of you guys catch when I watched it the second time today? I saw when Daryl was carrying Beth across the field and they stopped at that one tombstone and looked at it. At first I was like, what's the significance of that? And then after I saw the episode again, I was like, well, there couldn't have been any significance other than it said loving father on there.
Yeah, she was thinking about
and then she was thinking about Herschel. Okay, because it was just like. It seemed weird because they both stopped and looked at it, and he goes and puts flowers on it like they knew the person. And then I was looking for signs in the episode of like, did they know this area or whatever? And then I was like, it's just okay.
Because the two didn't have a name on it. It was just loving father. So
okay.
I also saw the episode 2 earlier today, and if you look at the grave, I think the person died like 1847 or something.
Yeah.
This person died before the apocalypse, so it's not like they really knew this person or he just died. Like, I don't know, like somewhere in 2013. So.
It's just an excuse from the hold hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, they just took a while holding on that with the music and everything else, and I was like, ugh. I was like, this is crippling to watch,
Like if you're gonna piggyback ride and shit, like god.
And I think my favorite, I think my favorite too is like, first of all, okay, what is it within the second half of the season? We got some string and we got some metal shit that rattles, and we put it up for camp and for everywhere, and that's our early warning system for zombies. Now, that's great, but is there no breeze in Georgia? Is there no wind in Georgia at all? Is that you might understand that the air is still, because you would hear those motherfuckers moving every time there was a slight breeze. Just like you would hear in the trees and everything else. And it isn't like zombies make their presence silent either as they come towards things. But I think what irritated me the most is Daryl, who's one of the most careful people, I think, because of his hunting skills and everything else. He's with Beth, who he knows is useless, right, other than playing the piano and singing. And even that just put him to sleep, okay?
Right.
And he goes and opens the door during the day, mind you. They're eating in the kitchen, and I noticed this on the second watch-through today. It's during the day, and he opens the door, and there's the one-eyed dog. He's looking cute. You love the dog, right? The dog runs off. I think the dog is actually the guy who owns the place's dog. And, you know, and
I think it's a trap.
I think it's a trap too, and I think that he lured the zombies back there. But then they hear the shit again, and they're eating, and now it's dark, and they're still eating in the kitchen. So we figure they've been eating for 8 to 10 hours, right, in the kitchen. And Daryl goes and hears again. He's like, "Ah, goddamn dog!" And he goes up there in the zombie apocalypse and doesn't even peek out between the things. He just goes and opens the door, and is like, all of a sudden, there's like 10 zombies, like, "Hey, we're here for dinner." You know,
right? That was a bit right.
The really weird thing is, like, you heard the dog bark, but then, like, in the next couple seconds, you see the walkers in the front door. Was that a continuity error?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was continuity.
It was quick.
No, the dog kind of barked outside the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he heard the barking again, and then he heard the rattling of there. But that's why I'm thinking that this guy, this mysterious figure, whoever who this Father Gabriel, whatever you want to call him, that took Beth. I think the dude knew what was going on, and he went. And the dog's maybe his, you know, and the dog's trained.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
The conclusion that I've come to is, I don't think it's a hunter trap. I think that if it is Gabriel, it's a trap for the hunters, maybe. So I definitely think that's definitely a booby trap house for sure.
Oh, is it to lure people in? You think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's to lure people in. I don't know if it's a trap by the hunters or if it was a trap to trap them. Maybe like Gabriel knows what they're doing in a sense. I'm not too sure.
I just know because the house was clean, you know. I mean, it was spick and span clean, and then you had a couple of bodies still in there that looked like they had been preserved, obviously by, you know, they said it was set up and looked like a funeral home, you know, like that was being tended by maybe one of the owners of it or a former owner or something like that. So that's what I felt. But yeah, I mean, you could be right about that though, because I mean, you've obviously read. I started reading the comics again today though, so. I'm still in the prison area. I mean, I'll be
you're right. It does seem like that house was just too good to be true. Not only
the whole time, right? The whole time.
Right. Not only was everything just perfectly set up, but the door was open. There was nothing locked or anything. You know what I'm saying? It was just
there was boards up on the doors and the windows, but like you're telling me that in the apocalypse you don't use a key? You know what I mean?
And it was too damn clean.
Yeah. The reason I don't think it was a trap by the hunters is because obviously they like to eat people, and you know, if you put people in that like boxed out room with you're flooding zombies in with using the dog, there's no way you could eat those people because they're gonna die. They're gonna be killed inside that room. There's no way they're getting out unless they're a badass like Daryl.
That meat's gonna be no good. But
yeah, they'd be tainted.
But because of the way the timing went with everything, though, I felt like this figure, whoever this was, if this is Father Gabriel, whatever the dude that drove off, we presume, with Beth. And
did you notice there's a cross in the back of the car?
I noticed the cross, yeah. Yeah, the cross that I did. Well, actually, it was another thing that my eagle-eyed wife saw, and then I wound up hitting pause on the DVR, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" I was like, "You're right, honey."
Is there any significance of it? I mean, I think maybe it's just because it was the car from that funeral home, one of the Hertzes that they used.
I don't know. I mean, because I haven't read the comics. Dad could tell you about this, and hopefully try to stay spoiler-free. But I was. Some people were commenting and sending me messages today about they thought it was this Father Gabriel character that I get.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually made a discussion video on this, talking about Terminus and who I think actually kidnapped her, but it very well could be Gabriel, because he does actually, in the comics, he leaves his church at a point when he runs out of supplies, but he doesn't necessarily have a car, so I mean, that could just be something for the TV series, so.
Okay.
But he's not known to help people, really, so I'm not too sure. Maybe they've rewritten his character if he is actually going to be in the series.
That's interesting. That really is interesting.
Someone just commented the zombies were eating the dog in front of the door Daryl opened. That's where the bark was from. I didn't notice the zombies eating the dog.
I didn't notice. I just saw the zombies just flood in. I didn't see anybody getting eaten.
Yeah, I didn't. And I watched it a second time, but I wasn't looking for the dog, honestly, the second time. So, you know.
Yeah, I gotta check. I gotta rewatch that. I have no idea if that's true or not.
That was definitely a booby trap house set by someone.
It seems that way. It definitely seems that way. I agree. Omar Morales' holding hand scene was fucking awkward as hell. The whole thing was awkward as hell. Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, people have been asking me, because I talked to a few friends about this before I came in the stream. They were asking me, but in that scenario, there aren't many options left. You're not going to worry about how 17, 18, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I guess, but it's still fucking weird as someone who's watching from the outside. You know what I'm saying? Still really, really, really fucking weird. So
And he does say to Beth that he wants to live in that house and he wants to wait for that guy to come back or whoever owns
he's
it.
like,
so,
he's like,
so
yeah,
I fix it, sort out for them.
He's like, we can make it work. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Have a little bargain with him.
a little happy home. No.
I'm sure you turn up like fucking. I can't remember what it's
See,
called.
this is what happens. This is what happens when Beth fills Daryl's head with happy bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
Things like this happen. Okay. Daryl is not supposed to be. Oh, everything's gonna be okay. No one should be in this fucking place, in this world that's been created. I'm sorry. It's just you have to be tough. You have to understand that the world is not a nice place. But Beth wants to live in a damn dreamland. That's why I don't like her. I really don't. And
that's why I think she's gonna die.
And I caught on with Daryl.
She's the only one that really hasn't acclimated. I mean, even the two crazy kids. You got the one kid that's suffocating babies, and the other kid at least is a good runner. And those kids, you know, were carrying pistols and they shot people in the mid-season finale. You know, whereas you know Beth, I think she fired and used a bunch of rounds, but I don't know if she hit anything necessarily. Nonetheless, though, yeah, she is. She's definitely a liability. You know.
She could even take out that zombie while it was on its knees with its back turned. She had a crossbow.
You know, but you ain't kill him.
Right.
So.
She walked into a bear trap. Was it bear trap?
No, true. Yeah, but she had to go so close to it. She was like 5 foot away from it. She might as well point blank ranged it.
I know. Well, she's Beth. What do you expect her to be a sniper, right? You know. Like she's just a failure. Like, he walks up, can't kill one zombie, a bear trap, and like who fucking needs a? Oh my god, Beth. I just don't see her purpose. I really don't. I don't hate
to get attached to Daryl so she could be killed on the season finale.
But like we said before, we don't know. I don't know, man.
I definitely reckon that she's for the chopping block, and because of Bob and this Sasha thing, one of them's definitely gone at the end of the season. I reckon they've got the death stamps on for me.
I can see Sasha more than Bob, because I think Sasha has connections to both Bob and she has connections to Tyrese. Yeah. So that would be much more impactful than if Bob dies, who only had connections to Sasha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Tyrese, you got to realize that in Walking Dead time, it's only been a week since his love Karen that he was banging got killed and then burned. So I think it's one of those scenarios again where it's going to be too much for him to handle losing his sister. So although I think she's fodder enough, I could see Bob going. I could see Beth going, but honestly, I could say that I don't care that much. I like Bob a lot more after this week's episode.
I do too.
I like the guy. I like his attitude. I like how he was and how he was really determined and not leaving anybody alone. And it was funny because he was like at the end, right? When he was like going to leave Sasha and everything, it was kind of funny because I'm thinking in my mind, you're leaving her alone to be alone yourself. To go find the other chick who was alone. But his whole theory is we don't have to be alone. You can follow me, girl. And we'll go get the other one, and then I'm going to have me a black girl and a white girl. I mean, so, come on, man. Bob was macking on Sasha. He was thinking of fucking apocalyptic threesome is what he was thinking.
Right. Yeah, he was hitting on Sasha pretty nice, man.
Yeah. He was laying it on thick.
The most stubborn girl ever known, and the cutest. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing.
No, that shit just came out of nowhere. And he's kissing. I was like, what the fuck?
There was hints.
He was just lonely. Okay, you can't get mad at him. It's the zombie apocalypse.
Wasn't it Sasha that tended to his wound? I mean, there was a little hint.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Really
subtle. I like how he was smiling and laughing the whole time. And at first, I was kind of like, I was kind of pissed almost. I was like, come on, man, you're supposed to be all somber and stuff. But then when you thought about his background, his past, like he had just gotten there like a week before the shit hit the fan. And Bob this guy was wandering around he didn't even say how long, but we're assuming days, weeks, months, who knows, right, between this last group. We don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, he was traumatized. He was alone. He was drinking NyQuil, for God's sakes, to dull the pain, the feelings. But then he goes and he's with people, and even though they lost the prison, he wasn't that close with anybody yet, so I don't think he felt like he lost anything. But I think at the end, he was just happier to pig in shit because he wasn't alone. Everybody hadn't died. There was at least somebody with him, And I think Bob was thinking, hey, this is great. I fell in a pile of shit and came out smelling like roses. Either way, I'm either with two broads or one, depending on who I choose, It's
certainly like the beginning when he joins the group, goes, I don't care who you are. I'll come with you. I'll be that alone.
And then what the fuck? Like, why does Glenn make him ride in the back of the truck? Was it like, you smell the shitty man? Riding in the back of the truck, Glenn riding in the front, man.
You let the new guys stay in the front, man? Well, the new guy stay in the back. He's got to know his place, you know.
Well, they asked him the 3 questions too, which I thought was kind of cool. Because in the first episode when Rick did that,
I like
show,
that they remembered that.
I was like, that's corny as fuck. But then when I thought about it and I saw this thing and I thought that was neat how they asked him, you know, and he's like, I don't know, a couple dozen. And they're like, how many people have you killed? And he's like, 1. And then he goes, why? And he says, well, she asked me to. And in those 3 brief questions, you can really judge a bit about a person's moral compass, right? Because if you ask somebody how many walkers you killed, they're like, oh, fuck, man, I just slaughter them for fun. Okay, how many people have you killed? Shit, I don't count them. Well, why? You know, I don't care. You know, it's the apocalypse. You know, you got to have a better idea of who you're dealing with. You know,
that's true.
That was just my thought process, and so I thought it was kind of neat to see that come into play almost at the end of the season. You know.
No, you're right. You're right. And I mean, Bob, like you said, the reason why he was happy. First, he was part of 2 groups and he was up by himself after those 2 groups got destroyed. Plus, he said with the new group, he was basically saying to himself, "How long until I'm back on my own again?" You know, he knew that there wasn't going to last at the prison. He had the complete opposite mindset as like Beth. He was like, "We'll live here forever." He's like, "I'm ready for the next, because I know we're not going to stay here too long."
And plus, too, he like blamed him in a way. He blamed himself too, and he thought he was the catalyst. He thought he was the reason for some reason. Like maybe God was punishing him. Who knows? But that whenever he got with a group, that was like his destiny was to go and he was with the group, and then the group dies, and he's alone. And another group, the group dies. So when he broke that streak, man, he was just, you know, he was just elated, man. He was just so excited, you know, because he's like, fuck, this is great. This didn't happen again. It's not me, you know.
And it's a girl he can possibly hit on. So,
yeah,
it's another bonus. You know?
Inside.
Yeah, who doesn't want that, man?
I'd be happy too. I mean, you could be like Tyrese dealing with 3 little girls and a fucking old crazy lady. You know? So, you know.
Tyrese. Poor Tyrese.
He got probably the best part of the deal there. Tyrese got to feel so bad for Tyrese.
Tyrese, man.
Oh my God.
The crazy woman and the 3 white kids, man.
Wow.
Man, he get the shit under the stick, didn't he?
Really did.
He did.
Really did. I don't know. I was kind of happy with this episode. I kind of saw the episode. I'm like, oh, it's a Bob episode. It's a Maggie episode. It's not gonna be good. I kind of went in with that mindset, but I was really pleasantly surprised with how it was done.
Yeah.
The music, the action with Daryl fighting all those zombies, really well done. I like that. I was like, oh shit, is Daryl gonna die in this spot? I really was thinking about it.
That was crazy, man, when he was crawling out from under him and shit, dude. He's stabbing him with big syringes and whatever else. They had a scalpel and stuff.
That was cool.
But then after he goes, and I mean, imagine how much strength you'd have left after running from him, beating him down, doing everything, getting downstairs. Then they're coming against you, and you're trying to, and as they're forcing themselves against you, you're trying to take them out. He gets out of there and still had to fight his way past 2 of them to get up the stairs, man. Wow. I thought that was great. Like, my adrenaline was pumping when I was watching that.
Yeah, chasing that car down the road, too.
Oh yeah, and then he was chasing the car. And then you know what I like too is that he's chasing it, then you see him again, he's chasing it, and when he sits down, I noticed this the second time I watched, when he sits down, he's right at a crossroads on the road and train track.
Yeah, that's true.
And then that group goes and comes upon him, and then I seen the group was the people from a couple weeks ago when Rick was hiding under the bed, and I was like, oh shit. You know, some people don't think that the group would be out looking, you know, for Rick, and they may not be, but you looked at, there were 6 guys there, right?
Huh.
So that's minus the one that Rick choked out in the bathroom, and then he came back to life, and we know there was screaming inside the house, so we're presuming that somebody else maybe got bit, I'm thinking. So I'm thinking that, you know, Rick is responsible for 1 to maybe 2 or 3 of their group's deaths. And they wanted to, remember, they were holing up in that house to wait for Michonne to come back because they thought it was a woman because they were going to rape her and kill her or whatever they were going to do.
Right.
So I think these guys, if they're just out to hurt people, anyway, I think that's why they're by those train tracks. I think that they're tracking Rick and Michonne and, you know, whatnot, figuring that they're going to get some payback, and they're going to go and rape Michonne. You know, I mean, that's what they wanted to do to begin with, and it's not like it looks like a group of good people.
Well, I don't think Daryl's going to let him do that, obviously, if he's part
of
the
that's what I think. That's what I think is the neat dynamic, though, is that I think Daryl's just kind of beside himself, and he may go and walk in the same direction as these guys for a while, but as soon as he figures out what's going on, boy, it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're going to, because they're on the train tracks, they're going to meet up with someone at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's going to be like the Abraham Glenn group.
Think so?
Yeah, I think it will be.
Why do you say that?
We probably won't see Daryl for like the next episode. We'll probably get him like the episode afterwards, and
yeah, we saw him 2 episodes.
Yeah, we got him 2 episodes in a row, so we probably won't see him now until next year. So
Maybe.
the way they're going with the episodes,
What is it, like
maybe a
4
sneak
episodes
peek
left?
of them in the finale. You know,
Was it 4 episodes left? 3 episodes left. 3
3
episodes.
episodes.
3 episodes left.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh man.
They go by
I mean,
quick. They go by quick. You know,
it's
and I've
just
seen.
like, I mean, don't be wrong. Like I said, I'm enjoying these episodes. It just seems like the pacing is a little too. I mean, because it seems like at this point, like we're gonna get to the season finale, and maybe at best case scenario, we're gonna be at Terminus. That's
Yeah.
it. And what has happened during this mid-season finale premiere to now? There's been very little progress.
It's true.
I'm just saying, it's just to be devil's advocate for a second, because like I said, it was a good episode.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I feel like it's a fine line you walk between feeling like you're that person that like only watches The Walking Dead for the action and the story to progress and everything, and being that person that's like, okay, well, you know what, I don't care where it goes because I appreciate the character moments, I appreciate those episodes, you know, getting to know characters better, and it's like I'm both of those people. You know what I mean? Right. So depending on the day and who I'm talking to, I may be like, God damn it, I wish they'd get somewhere. And then there's other times where I'm like, well, fuck, man, you know, this was a really good episode, man. It was really deep on a lot of levels, you know, and it was. Right. I mean, so
I think by the time we get to maybe the last episode, I think we'll probably appreciate it a lot more, because then this whole like journey of all these little groups, they all come together and start like making sense of how, you know, we've been following all these little random groups.
That's all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping by the season finale, I think they're still going to be divided, but I think it's going to be, you know, maybe down to like 2 groups. You know what I mean? I think maybe eventually Glenn's group will meet up with somebody. Maybe like you said, you know, Daryl's group with those Hunt or whatever those guys are, whatever I call them, the dirt bags. You know, because you got so many threads hanging out there. You got the stuff like Carol and Tyrese together, and Tyrese doesn't know that Carol, you know, admitted to the murders of, you know, Karen and that guy David. So you got that dynamic, plus the fact that they're taking care of 3 kids, one of which we know is certifiably insane, and then of course the baby, which is Rick's. And Rick,
a baby.
And then Rick, we know, is on his way too. But you know, so you got that dangling out there. Rick doesn't even know that his other kid's alive. He's with his one kid and his new friend Michonne. You know, so there's a lot of things dangling out there of who's gonna see each other before they, you know, if they do meet up, like you were saying a couple episodes, or I think you know, maybe you know, the Tyrese's group will get there first, and something will happen where that baby will get kidnapped or the kids or something, you know. You know, and I don't know, man. At this point, it's just they're definitely throwing some curveballs each week, so I don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just big hype for Terminus. That's what we're getting. I'm getting the impression every episode has that underlying theme. Every single episode, for the most part, with the exception of the last episode, has that Terminus underlying theme. Like, this is the place where the big thing is gonna happen. So we might get some big season finale, which was something happening at Terminus. But it seems like every episode is just gonna be build up to that. Which it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It depends on how the episodes are. But I would like to see it maybe.
Hope it's not like season 3.
Oh yeah, anticlimactic. Oh my God. Yeah.
You hyped it up, and then after you saw the hypeness in the episodes, like, was that it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then it was a bunch of nonsense all the way through the end of it. It was like the highlight of the episode was like Carl shooting an innocent, you know, teenager in the woods. You know what I mean? Like there was.
It would definitely be left on a cliffhanger, I reckon. Some sort of sense.
You think there's gonna be a cliffhanger?
Yeah, I definitely reckon it's gonna be a cliffhanger. Because I don't know, it's because I've got like 3 theories on what this Terminus is going to be. It's either going to be Gabriel's church and his own sort of like sanctuary. It's either going to be what a lot of people think it is, it's a hunter trap, or the one that I've been saying like a few live streams. I reckon that this Terminus is going to be fallen, and obviously they've got all this hope trying to get there. So I think it'd be a really good way to sort of like break their hope once again. But at the same time, you can at least get, you know, at least 2 of the big sort of like groups meeting up there at least.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, like I said, it seems like everyone's going towards Terminus, which is good because there's going to be a reunion. But if Terminus is, like you said, a fallen place, then that means that they're not going to be able to meet up there. So we're going to have another half season where everyone's still broken up.
I mean, everybody was grabbing asses, not doing nothing.
Right. But I'm saying, do you think that by the end of the season, most of the group will be together? Or do you think that we're still going to get more of a split crowd for another half season?
Regardless of which way it turns out, if it's Fallen or it's a Hunter's Trap or if it's Gabriel, I mean, I'm assuming they're still going to have to deal with the Hunters anyway. So I mean, it makes sense for the group to be separated at its weakest in a sense.
Right.
Because if they're strong, and there's going to be a shit ton of people if both these massive groups sort of emerge. To me, it doesn't make sense. 6 people attacking. How many is there? Like at least 12, maybe, or 10 people they've got all together. I don't know.
Yeah, but see, you're the only one that's read the comics that far, though, Dead. So I have no idea how many hunters there are. You know what I mean? If you presume that it's a hunter trap, that means these guys have gone around on all these different train tracks for what appears to be miles out in each direction, posting these signs painstakingly, mind you. Because really, travel's not that fast in the apocalypse. Let's face it. You know what I mean? So having somebody run out there risking life and limb for these just to lure people to a central location to try to trap them and eat them. How many hunters are there? Is there, and who knows? Oh, there's 6? Okay.
That's 6.
But who knows, though, but the show hasn't followed the comic exactly, so there might be 20 in the show,
Yeah, that's true. It could make... their MO in the comic is they like to pick apart small groups, and they tend to take, kidnap the weakest member of that group, in a sense.
Oh, okay.
So if to me, if they attack like a giant group, it sort of like goes against how they are, because they're like scavengers, they like to pick their opportunities. They're not they don't go in there with force or anything because they're too small to go in force.
So if you're talking about the weakest of the group, then the baby, I don't see them doing that.
Well,
in the show. I can't do it. I can't see them.
Probably not.
I can't see that.
That's the season 4 finale. The hunters ate a toddler. Diaper and all.
No. I would give the show credit for having balls to do that, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I'll be honest. The baby might get captured, and they use it as bait to draw in more people.
Yeah,
but
I think that's more likely.
Could be. True.
I don't see that baby getting eaten. I'm sorry.
No.
No.
I like what they're doing so far this season, though. Although I don't like the split apart nature of the episodes, where you don't get to see as many groups and whatnot. It does build the anticipation, but I believe that they're doing a good job this year and kind of cleaning up the wrongs that were done in the last couple of years. Because the last couple of seasons have had some high points, but I think they've had a little more low points, more things to focus on, that it was just like, we could have done without that, rather than like praising them for the good things that were done. And so I really think that this season has been a lot of correcting the mistakes from the couple seasons past, trying to get that bad taste out of people's mouths. Because there's still been a great mix of action. There's been very few episodes that were very slow, that I could say, I don't really like this, or whatever. And I think they're doing some neat things now that they've, of course, in the second half, now that there's no more safety of the prison,
Yeah, I think this season was definitely like a reset, sort of like season to sort of get everything back on flow again. Because obviously season 3 sort of out-whacked the story. Yeah.
Back on the road. And like I said last review, it definitely has done a good job at something that hasn't been for a while, and that's building a sense of danger with the zombies.
Yeah, definitely.
Because obviously when you're in smaller groups, the zombies seem that more threatening. Even someone as bad as Daryl getting overrun by like 10 zombies is a big deal, because he's by himself, essentially. Because what the fuck is Beth going to do? So
we've seen multiple times already.
Yeah, we've seen what she's
been bum rushed.
She couldn't even kill one. She fell into a bear trap. I'm like, come on, Beth.
Yeah.
But,
now she's hobbling around. It's like, you were already a liability, It's like, they already wouldn't let me insure your ass, That's how bad you are, So,
exactly. So my one thing of this mid-season to now, has done well is just the bringing that danger back that has been missing for a while. Because when you're in the prison, the zombies aren't as big a threat. We got a little bit with the gate with the fence zombies, but that wasn't.
Well, and having no supplies too. You look at everybody, and it's like between Rick, Michonne, and Carl, they've got one gun with a handful of bullets and a sword. Was it Maggie and Sasha and Bob? They had six bullets, and a couple of sharp, pointy sticks, or maybe a baseball bat or something, a knife. That was, and I thought that was cool too, because we hadn't really seen Sasha in action yet, and I thought that was neat to see. And Maggie is a bad little bitch. Remember when she was the stupid farm girl in season 2, and you're like, oh, she's gonna fuck Glenn, isn't that cute? And then you thought it was cute and everything, and now seriously, she's got bigger balls than Glenn, man. She's running around just walking up to him like, hey man, I was gonna scratch this shit in with the knife, but no, instead I'm gonna maul this fucking zombie after I take it down, stab it in the face, tear it apart. I'm gonna do finger paint with blood.
That's zombie kill of the week right there for you guys.
I thought that was an interesting one for sure. Yeah.
Road sign was my favorite.
Oh, the road sign head.
The road sign
How do you cut off the zombie's head with a road sign?
I don't know, man.
I'm not complaining.
You ever pull one of them up out of the ground? You get one of them that they haven't put in concrete. You just wiggle that fucker back and forth, and you steal that son of a bitch. Not that I've ever done that, but if I had, those fuckers are heavy, dude. Those things are heavy as shit, man. So at least the mile per hour one. That's the only experience I've ever had with.
It must be strong as hell to pick it up.
Well, no, because it wasn't attached to the concrete. Oh, she must be strong. So they're pretty weight. I'd say probably about 40 pounds. I mean, it's the one that I may have not touched at one point.
Maggie's jacked, as we learned in this episode. Maggie is jacked. Yeah, man. So yeah, that was probably my favorite zombie kill as well. So yeah, that I think about it, I almost forgot. So. Yeah.
That whole scene was kind of cool because Sasha jumped her ass up on the car so she'd get leverage because she's short, and she had this, she had this sharpened stick or spear or whatever, and I thought that one that she went and kind of kicked in the head and planted its head down with her foot and then fucking jammed the spear through. I thought that was nice too. I was like, wow, look at her taking some zombies out, man.
There's some good kills this week.
Yeah, there's some really good kills.
I can't remember who did it. It might have been Daryl, but someone, or maybe it was Maggie, but someone could like stab one right through the like in the middle of the head with a knife. I can't remember who did it. But I remember that'd be pretty good.
What was this?
I think it might have been Maggie. It must have been whoever's got a knife. I can't actually remember who did it now, but someone just literally straight in the middle of the head with a knife. I thought that was a pretty good kill.
Alright. Yeah, I gotta rewatch that, but yeah, that was
awesome.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I thought it was a very good episode. Like I said, pacing a little bad, but like I said, it was a good episode, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. I'm not going to be that guy. So, okay, any other thoughts and opinions about the episode that we didn't cover?
Well, I'd like to say something a little bit. Oh, well, I did enjoy this episode, and like you guys said, that there is a sense of danger going on that wasn't present a lot in the season 3, where they just hanged around with the prison, and we got that back. And also, this episode, the key word of this episode was pacing, because last week's episode didn't have that much pacing, and I like how we went back and forth to, Daryl's group and Maggie's in the group. So overall, I enjoyed it. Wasn't a perfect episode, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah. What I liked about it was obviously because the title of it was called Alone, and we get the whole, Bob and that, the two groups we basically follow in this. I liked how it showed that Daryl and Beth, they're sort of like showing that you can't be alone and like survive in this world. Is their one was like an emotional sort of like an attachment, but then with like the other group, it was like you need that sort of physical sort of like strength, in a sense, should I say, to like survive in this world. And you can't be alone. If you're alone, physically you're going to be killed, like overrun or whatever. And then on the other side, it was like you need that emotional sort of like human sort of like elements to sort of like still survive in this world. And so I thought that was pretty cool. The whole like theme of the series, the episode.
Yeah, the theme of the episode I thought was great because at one point or another, everyone was alone at one point or another, and then of course starting out with showing Bob and just how that just felt so, I just felt so sorry for him, man. I was like, and man, if anybody knows the name of that tune that was playing, man, at the beginning and the end, that was a great song. Yeah.
Was that the tune that was playing at the end of the last episode?
I think it was.
Burning?
It sounded the same.
It sounded very familiar, and I could be wrong.
It wasn't the same one, but it was similar. It was similar. I only remember because the lyrics in the last one kind of sounded like an Irish drinking song because it was like, and then we punched him in the face and we kicked him in the dick, and it was like the words didn't rhyme at all because I was listening to it while everything was burning down, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy singing about, But this week, that tune, it was just real like melodic and just it was real powerful. I really liked it, man.
It did, and it definitely collaborated with the visuals as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like a perfect fit for just like showing that montage of walking around like that, and then at the end, the same song playing, and Daryl's just sitting in the middle of the road, man, just like fucking, I am done, I can't. He was walked to follow that car, whatever, follow that train, and he couldn't even breathe, It was like, so I thought that was cool.
At least no more singing, right? But moving on. I'm kidding.
I love how she's like, I thought you didn't like my singing. He's like, yeah, well, there ain't no damn radio, so I need something to put me to sleep. It's like laying in the casket. So basically, he didn't even throw her a bone. He still won't throw her a bone and be like, yeah, it's not half bad. He was just like, yeah, well, it's better than nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Damn.
That was definitely funny. But okay, guys. So now it's time to say our predictions for the next upcoming episodes. So let's start off with Kai. What do you think is gonna happen next?
Well, looking at the previews, man, I think Tyrese and the group, they're gonna get cornered by some walkers. I think maybe someone's gonna make a sacrifice, maybe, or someone's gonna get hurt really badly. We're probably gonna get some. What I'm looking for. We're probably gonna see what the other group's doing since we haven't seen what Rick's group been up to in a while. So I hope we get some scenes with them just for a little bit. Otherwise, this probably gonna be an episode just with Tyrese and the 3 white women. So
Technically, it's 4 white women.
oh, okay, the baby.
The baby counts, I guess.
That's true.
All right, Deb, what do you think? If you take a big chug out of your big mug.
Well, I watched the preview as well. It's kind of tough to say, really. Well, I don't know what's going to happen in the episode. All I can say is I hope that at the end of this episode, that the whole reveal that Carol was the one that might have murdered those 2 people, or the kid might let slip that she's the one that killed him, or something. I hope there's like the conflict. If we're going to be following that group, I hope that sort of like whole mystery and conflict sort of like comes to an end, or starts to come to an end at that next episode.
All right, and Jim.
I kind of piggyback off of what Dad said. I think that's still unresolved in my mind. I think that wholeheartedly, I believe that Carol covered for that crazy little bitch, and I think, and even if she didn't, I think that the tension between her knowing that she was exiled from the prison by Rick, but now, and that Tyrese, if he knew, would probably want to just gut her like a pig where she stands. I think that whole dynamic between the two and how she goes about telling him, or maybe she goes to tell him, and then the girl steps in and says, "No, I'm the one that did it." So I do hope that there is something that builds with that, and like you said as well, I do hope we get to see another group, whether it be, because I kind of miss seeing, obviously Rick and Michonne, their group and whatnot, or maybe even a little bit of Glenn's group. We saw a peek of them, at the end of the episode, but maybe something like you said, Dad, where they run across or run into or run near the other group that Daryl is with now. Because I really am kind of excited to see how that works, because after that we've only got 2 episodes left, and I'm really thinking that you're going to want to show, at least in the season finale for sure, maybe the last 2 episodes, you're going to want to show like all the characters, or most of them, even if they're still separate. So
hopefully like the Tyrese group gets within like vision of whatever this Terminus is going to
exactly.
be.
That's what I was going to say. I mean,
they are the
first
ones
to
that
exactly.
the first ones to head down the road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And Rick's group's only a little, I don't know, like half a day behind him, so hopefully in the episode after that, their group gets to it or something.
Well, the other thing, too, is we're assuming that they were all in the same general area, but they could have been all spread out all around, and they could be seeing different maps that have, because it looked like there's about 8 or 10 different tracks that were pulling towards Terminus.
Which group was the one that saw the aftermath of the Tyrese, the group of dead people that was near Tyrese when he tried to save?
Well, that was Daryl and Beth when they were tracking him.
Oh, okay.
Daryl and Beth wound up tracking him, and with Tyree, they were coming by the next day, and then I think they eventually just completely went off the path, and then we know that Tyrese wound up meeting up with Carol, and then it was 3-4 weeks ago now, we saw them heading towards Terminus. But what I'm saying is that even though the next week we found out that Rick and company are on their way there, and now Glenn are, who knows where they are? You know what I mean? If they're all on the same, behind each other, if a couple of them are near each other, I don't really know. Because they all obviously scattered,
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see. But I completely agree with Dad that we need to see Terminus. I think seeing Terminus in the next episode will definitely help pick up this pace, and definitely build some excitement for what this thing could possibly be, at least on the horizon. If they don't arrive right away, I can fine. That's fine, as long as you just see it, Because if they don't reach Terminus in this episode, that means we have to spend another episode for them to reach Terminus. Yeah. And this episode is assumably going to be all about them. So.
Do any of you guys watch The Talking Dead afterwards? I sometimes will catch that one.
Sometimes.
A little bit.
Last night I happened to watch it, and I saw they always do like a little 30-second sneak peek that's not the actual preview of next week. And the sneak peek, if anybody saw it, was fucked up, man. There was like, it must be some kind of flashback scenario because it was inside like a house. It reminded me of something out of like Fallout or like the game Fallout or like BioShock, because there was like this music playing, and then there was like a tea kettle on the stove, and the stove was going and everything like that. And then it went and kind of like panned over to look outside, and there was like what you presume was a kid, but it was kind of blurry, and it looked, and so I don't know if it was maybe a flashback from something with those weird little kids, those little girls.
I remember hearing that from the description in the next episode that I don't know which part of the group, but apparently they find a new shelter. So I don't know if that's going to be Terminus or if it's the house you're talking about. So.
That could be too, and maybe it could have been something where they reach there, and then this is, the view of something that's going on. Because I couldn't really tell what was going on from the sneak peek. It was only like 10 seconds, 20 seconds long.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. So I think that pretty much covers everything. Any final thoughts? Or I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover with this particular episode. One thing that I forgot to say is when they were in that graveyard, I was half hoping some zombies would come out of the ground. That's all I'm going to say. But I think on that note, we can wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. So definitely subscribe to everybody in here. I guess we can do our outros. Jim, you can start off.
Oh, yeah, it's well, I'll be here every week, man, rain or shine. So we're just looking forward to to next week's episode. But at the same time, man, I'm only 3 of them left, and I'm thinking, at least I got some other stuff to fill up my spring.
Jim, after the Walking Dead, the Game of Thrones comes right after
Game of Thrones, and then right after that, that show Falling Skies that I watched, that sci-fi apocalypse type show.
You're good.
So I'm good until about August, I think. But
So yeah. Okay, Dead.
Tomorrow I will upload a discussion on what I think Terminus is, and I'm going to have my live reaction up as well tomorrow. So 2 videos.
I definitely look forward to that. Kai?
Well, I hope we get to see these hunter groups that you speak of, Dad. We haven't seen it, at least one roaming around. So I hope the season finale will be worth it, or a cliffhanger that's like, otherwise then we just have to wait for season 5 to see what happens.
Yep, I completely agree. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this discussion about The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode number 13. If you did like the video, it's always appreciated to like those videos. Definitely leave some comments in the comment section below if we couldn't get to your comment, and I'll try my best to answer it after the stream ends. And like I said, subscribe to everybody in here. I'll put all their names in the description so you guys can check them out. They are all worthy of being subscribed to, so do that whenever you get a chance. Definitely check out the channel. So that's it for me today, guys. I'm ZoroFanboy124. I'm going to have the results out for the best short anime of all time that you guys voted on sometime within the next couple days. So look out for that. But that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.
As always, thanks for watching. Links to everyone in this video will be in the description down below.